Cutter Shark is a level 5 fish. When one monster you control and no other cards is targeted for an attack or with a card effect, and this card is in your hand or graveyard quick effect, you can tribute that monster, special summon this card. The first use case for Cutter Shark is protecting your monsters from targeting effects like Imperm. It's not as useful for this as you might think because this does not protect your Buzzsaw if your Buzzsaw targets itself, since your Buzzsaw won't resolve if it leaves the field. Buzzsaw will have to target another fish you control if you want it to resolve. Because this monster is an awkward level 5, some end boards are pretty terrible if you do dodge Imperm with this card. You're going to wish you had a crossout designator instead. So if this card is pretty bad at helping sharks play through Imperm, is there something else we can do with it? Stalling. Just like in the anime, this card is meant to be used against an opponent that has declared an attack on a monster for lethal damage. You can tribute that monster you control and summon this card in defense position, protecting you from that damage. Ideally, this can be paired with the Ice Barrier trap card, giving you 2 ways to stall against an opponent trying to OTK you. First with Ice Barrier, turning their attack to 0, then banishing Ice Barrier from the graveyard, and because Cutter Shark can special summon itself from the graveyard, you can leave Cutter Shark in the graveyard, then add any other water monster to your hand or return an extra deck monster. Then when your opponent declares an attack, you can tribute one of your monsters to summon Cutter Shark from the graveyard to stall against that attacking enemy. This could be very useful in a mirror match against an enemy C32 Shark Drake. The third use case is grind games. If Cutter Shark is special summoned, you can activate an effect to add 1 water monster from your graveyard to your hand during the end phase of this turn, except Cutter Shark. This card can keep coming back from the graveyard every turn to add more cards to your hand at the end of every end phase. But what about Ghoti? Ghoti is a fish deck that is really hurt by Imperm on Aryan Post. Abyss Shark is already a very useful card for helping us bait Ash Blossom, but now it can also be used to dodge Imperm. If your opponent did not chain Ash Blossom to Abyss Shark, it probably means they don't have one, so you can search for Cutter Shark instead, and then summon your Aryan Post. And if the opponent does try to Imperm your Aryan Post, you can tribute that Aryan Post, and special summon our Cutter Shark. So even though Cutter Shark is a level 5, it's not really that awkward since we are still summoning our Sykes from the deck, which is a level 6, so we can still do our Synchro Summons. And we can also use Sykes to banish Cutter Shark if we want, or we can just link away the Cutter Shark. So here we banish Sykes from the deck with Aryan Post. Sykes then banishes a fish from the graveyard. We can chain block our Sykes with Cutter Shark, then special summon the Sykes, activate its effect on summon to search the deck. If we got this far, the opponent probably doesn't have any hand traps. We might as well just go for Seawick hand. So does Cutter Shark have drip or should we drop it? At first glance, if you look at one effect in isolation, you may want to drop it. But because of its grind game potential, its searchable, and how versatile it is, I don't think we should completely overlook it. With Rage of the Abyss support, Sharks is now a deck that vomits most of its extra deck on turn 1, so we're going to need tools that help us recover extra deck monsters from the graveyard, and this one is searchable. So I'm going to put this in lukewarm. I don't think it's bad, but I do think it's mid.